Hello, I'm Dean, and this is Dean's N-Scale Trains. Today I'm back on my Santa Fe Northern L-shaped layout, and I'm going to start changing elevations of the various pieces of track.
Here's a quick clip to show you what I'm going to show you on this video. Stay tuned if you want to learn about working with foam board, one of my favorite materials for doing model railroads.
This is the cutting diagram.
In the cutting diagram, there are three areas with different elevations. Ottawee Crossing in green is the lowest elevation, which is going to be at 0 inches. The 1 inch area is indicated by orange. All the area inside the orange boundary is going to be raised 1 inch. And the Redondo mine in blue is going to be raised 2 inches. All the tracks between them outside of the colored areas are either rising or falling depending on where they're going. The dashed lines indicate where I'm going to cut the styrofoam. Now in all cases, I'm just going to cut the top one layer of foam. It's 1 inch thick. It's supported by a 2 inch layer below, but I don't want to cut into that.
This area here will be at 0 inch elevation. Track will come up to 1 inch where the main yards are. Those will all be at 1 inch, and it's orange on this diagram. And then the blue is going to be at 2 inches, so the tracks will rise and fall going there. To cut the foam, I'm just going to use a regular saber saw, but I've taken the blade and I've sharpened it into a knife edge to give a nice clean cut. So, without further ado, let's get started. And I've got to be careful. I don't want to make a mistake. Incidentally, the 1 inch foam is raised above the 2 inch foam with these 1x2s. And I've chosen the length of the saw blade such that it doesn't cut into the 2 inch foam.
Here's how I get a nice straight cut on the foam board. I hold it down between a level straight edge and the edge of the table, and I screw down temporarily everything together at both ends of the level. Then I make a rough cut with a hot wire cutter. I reposition the board where I want it to be. Screw it down again. And use a hot wire cutter to get a nice fine edge. As I said, I wanted to raise the mine area at the back of the layout exactly 2 inches. So I took some 2 inch foam board and cut 6 risers, as you can see here, And these I glued to the bottom 2-inch foam board support. I used Liquid Nails Projects glue. Here I'm gluing down the upper board to the blocks with the same Projects glue adhesive. Then I used 3-inch number 10 deck screws to screw everything together. If you're very careful, they hold quite well. I will remove these after about a week when everything dries. Here I'm gluing and screwing the area that's going to be at 0 elevation directly to the 2-inch support board. Next, I worked on the area that's going to be at 1 inch. I've cut 6 2-inch boards out of 1-inch thick foam, and I'm putting the adhesive on both sides of all of the boards at once. Working on the yard extension. As soon as all boards were coated, I turned them on their flat side. And then pushed down the yard area so everything ends up at 1 inches. Again, I screwed them with the 3-inch deck screws. Here I'm trimming and smoothing the back edge of this board. I then cut a series of risers from 1 1/8 inch high to 1 7/8 inch high. These were cut on a table saw for accuracy. These were then spaced out at equal distances along the rise and glued down with a hot glue gun. This level, a straight edge placed against the roadbed, shows how the elevation change is nice and even as you go up the rise using my technique. Next, I trimmed the inner edge of the foam board at an angle. I ran a ruler along the rubber roadbed as I cut the foam to protect the roadbed and the track. I then attacked the long gradual rise on the back of the layout and on the right side of the layout. I cut 3 pieces of foam board from 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and these were spaced evenly along the track. I then cut long lengths of 1/4 inch thick foam board from a 2-inch piece of foam board and glued this along the edge of the track as it rose up. This helped to strengthen the track and also acts as a barrier to keep trains from falling. At this point, the track is in a tunnel. Here's the layout plan showing the 2 tunnels on the right to make this clear where they're located. Here are a few shots to show you my work in progress. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this type of video, and give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.